Every now and then you read something that's so good, you just have to share it with others. And that's how I felt about the most recent anti-empire report by William Blum. If you're not familiar with him, check out his site at killinghope.org. Read his books. He is amazing. He's an amazing writer, and his books are just a treasure trove for understanding U.S. foreign policy. This latest section that I'm going to share, it's not very long, is deals with Fox News and overall the pro-Iraq war propensity to rewrite history to fit, their ulterior motives. The following is from William Blum's anti-empire report. I'll provide a link for you to check it out more in depth. There's other articles, and I'd really encourage you to subscribe. It's an excellent and informative piece of work that he does on a regular basis, and I just couldn't live without it. I hope you'll enjoy. As the call for withdrawal of American forces from Iraq grows louder, those who support the war are rewriting history to paint a scary picture of what happened in Vietnam after the United States military left in March 1973. They speak of invasion by the North Vietnamese communists, but fail to point out that a 2 decades-long civil war had simply continued after the Americans left, minus a good deal of the horror which U.S. bombs and chemical weapons had been causing. They speak of the bloodbath that followed the American withdrawal, a term that implies killing of large numbers of civilians who didn't support the communists. But this never happened. If it had taken place, the anti-communists in the United States who supported the war in Vietnam would have been more than happy to publicize a commie bloodbath. It would have made big headlines all over the world. The fact that you can't find anything of the sort is indicative of the fact that nothing like a bloodbath took place. It would be difficult to otherwise disprove this negative. Some 600,000 Vietnamese drowned in the South China Sea attempting to escape, according to the National Review. Has anyone not confined to a right-wing happy farm ever heard of this before? They mix Vietnam and Cambodia together in the same thought, leaving the impression that the horrors of Pol Pot included Vietnam. This is the conservative National Review Online. 6 weeks later, the Americans lifted off in helicopters from the roof of the U.S. Embassy in Saigon, leaving hundreds of panicked South Vietnamese immediately behind and an entire region to the mercy of the communists. The scene was similar in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. The torture and murder spree that followed left millions of corpses. And here's dear old Fox News, July 26th. Reporters Sean Hannity and Alan Combs with their guest actor John Voight. Voight says,
and I saw what had happened when we pulled out of Vietnam. And if we don't learn our lessons looking back in the past, then we are subject to possibly making the same mistakes. Right now, we're having a lot of people who don't know a whole lot of things crying for us pulling out of Iraq. There was a bloodbath when we pulled out of Vietnam. 2.5 million people in Cambodia and Vietnam, South Vietnam, were slaughtered, and it was not the highest moment in our history politically. And we're threatening to do it again with the same group is coming forth in that regard.
But there's a bloodbath going on now.
And we best not do it. Now listen to me.
Yes, sir.
Alan.
in actuality, instead of a bloodbath of those who had collaborated with the enemy, the Vietnamese sent them to re-education camps, a more civilized treatment than in post-World War II Europe, where many of those who had collaborated with the Germans were publicly paraded, shaven bald, humiliated in other ways, and or hung from the nearest tree. But some conservatives today would have you believe that the Vietnamese camps were mini Auschwitzes. If we want to be serious about ending this war in Iraq, we've got to educate ourselves, because they will go to no end to lie to us, to fabricate things, to make any argument they can think of to keep our troops there. They want to build, permanent bases all over Iraq. That's their plan. None of the Democrats, none of the viable candidates that are going to probably win want out of Iraq. Okay? None of them. That's okay. Because if we get organized and we get enough people out in the streets, and not just at the big protests like we're going to have September 15th, but we're really going to have to start thinking about civil disobedience and other forms of protest. Because if we all just agree to show up every once in a while on a Saturday to protest these things, they could care less. These big groups go out and get a permit. They ask for permission. Can I please protest the war? Yes, you can protest the war on Saturday, September 15th. That's okay. We need those rallies. They're good mobilization points. But we also need more. And I certainly don't have all the answers. I don't think anybody does. We need to be creative as we can be, and we need to be as vocal as we can be. Talk to your friends and neighbors. We need to end this war. We need to end it now. Thank you.